Okay, it's come out in the last few hours that Israel Folau is to sue Rugby Australia for 10 million Australian dollars for unfair dismissal. This is obviously after following on from his code of conduct hearing, where he was formally, it was done, it was dusted, he was contract terminated. He's done, right? Now, there were some options open to him, which was another code of conduct hearing with a brand new 3-man panel, or legal action. He has chosen legal action. This is a no-win situation for either side. If he loses, he looks even worse. But if Rugby Australia loses, they could be bankrupted. There's already reports coming out that there are serious financial problems with Rugby Australia, even before Israel Folau and his saga kicked on. There's a reason why Western Force are no longer a Super Rugby franchise, but questions are being asked about how they could find the money for Israel Folau's contract, but they could not find the money for Western Force a year earlier, which is tantamount to about 4 million Australian dollars. So there are those fans that are already angry with Rugby Australia for the handling of Western Force. What this lawsuit basically comes down to is loss of earnings from his contract for a yearly basis, which is 4 million, plus add-ons and endorsements, which would total near enough 10 million if you add all his sponsorship deals together. There is no winner out of this. None. There are reports coming out that his father got in the way of the peace talks between Israel Folau and Rugby Australia and Riding Castle, and that it was his father who pushed him, to walk away. Riding Castle and Rugby Australia are under severe pressure because of the handling of Western Force and a whole host of other issues that have been covered to death on this channel. The fact they couldn't find the money for Western Force, but they could find the money for one single player, is raising a lot of questions. Why invest everything in one basket when you could develop a whole team of players, and some of those players may have been good enough, could have been good enough for the Wallabies. Nick Cummings, the Honey Badger, has been lost to Australian rugby because Western Force is no longer around. And that's a big blow, because Nick Cummings is a heart and soul guy. He may not be the most skilled winger out there, but my God, he's a passionate player. Rugby Australia have lost him. The questions have to be asked about the organisation and the direction Rugby Australia is taking. Israel Folau, I've said this from the beginning, he's badly advised. There is no winner out of this potential lawsuit. If he loses, he, is going to be a pariah forevermore. And Rugby League have now come out, and the NRL have said, as long as those Instagram posts stay up, he will have no place in Rugby League. So the Rugby League is willing to take him back if he takes those posts down, and he is refusing to do so. So Rugby League is basically saying, the NRL basically saying, it's okay to be a homophobe and a bigot, just take the post down. So the NRL has put itself in a corner here as well. The whole sporting culture of Australia is up in the air at the moment. A whole host of scandals relating to the women's football team, so the Socceroos, and the women's, Socceroos team, with the firing of their coach earlier this year. You've got the Israel Folau saga. You've got the NRL off-season scandal after scandal after scandal. Jack DeBellin, Dylan Walker. I could name a whole host there. Australian sport is toxic right now, and they need a feel-good story. And unfortunately, this is not a feel-good story, because Israel Folau, if he loses, becomes a pariah. And if Rugby Australia loses, it bankrupts the sport in Australia. And a sport in the Southern Hemisphere with Super Rugby that has so many issues right now, it cannot afford to lose this case. And there is a 50-50 chance it could. And that is a far too high a chance as a rugby fan for me to go, yeah, okay, yeah. Because this could kill the sport in Australia. There's already issues with the sport losing young, talented players to rugby league and AFL. And it's also losing players from Australia overseas, therefore eligible for selection for the Wallabies. So the Wallabies as a test side are weaker because some of their best players are now playing outside of Australia, which under selection rules, unless it's the Matt Gitter rule where they're exceptionally talented, they don't want them to play outside Australia. Yet it seems to be an exodus of talented players playing in Europe. They're even now choosing North America as well, because they know they're guaranteed money, they're guaranteed game time, and the Wallabies has become so toxic. So there we go. That's the situation as it currently stands. It's a 10 million figure that's been reported. It could go higher. There could be an out-of-court settlement, which could be a bit lower. But Rugby Australia, if they choose to accept this court challenge and not settle out of court, they could bankrupt the sport in Australia, and rugby union could be, completely dead. And this is a risk they're taking, because they've decided, instead of supporting a whole team and a whole squad and a whole development structure with Western Force, they decided to go with Israel Folau and put all their eggs in one basket, and it has backfired catastrophically. Sponsors are threatening to walk away. And the toxicity and the divisiveness of this whole situation is not a great build-up to the World Cup in, 3-4 months' time in Japan. So Michael Cheika is going to have a tough job as coach, trying to get the players focused. He's lost his best asset. Ryan Castle under a lot of pressure. It doesn't help that she's a Kiwi as well. Big rivals in sport when it comes to Australia and New Zealand. She's under a lot of pressure for her running of Rugby Australia and the situation there. And Israel Folau has now become such a controversial figure that no sport wants to touch him. Rugby League has sort of reached out as long as the posts come down off Instagram. He's refusing to do so. So until he wants to play a bit of ball, if he wants to have a sporting career ever again, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the outcome is, but there are no winners in this. That's my view on it. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Place your comments below, and I will have some more videos for you very, very soon.